All right, so we're going to talk about the breakdown for a front handspring. A front handspring is basically like a handstand, but what you're doing is rather than standing up, you're leaning forward and continuing, and then you're landing back onto your feet. All right? So basically, this is what it looks like. I'll give you a side view. All right? There. All right? So that's what a front handspring is. Basically, in order to have a front handspring, you just need to be able to do a handstand. To do a handstand, what we're doing is you're putting hands down. As you're putting your hands down, you're kicking your feet up behind you. And there's something called a candlestick position where your feet come together and they point straight up. All right, so it looks something like this. All right, I'm putting my hands down, and I want to prep this by having one foot leading. Right, so I lead with my left typically. All right, so I'll have my left foot to lead. My hands are prepped. I'm putting my foot down, leaning my body forward, and I'm kicking that leg up to get into my handstand. All right. Now, if I were to lean forward with my handstand and land like that, that's like basically a front handspring if I was able to stand up from there. I don't have the core strength for that. But again, that's basically the prep work you need. Now, rather than going up to a handstand and stopping, what you want to do is you want to get your footwork ready. You want to do a little bit of a forceful step on the ground so that way you can kick this leg up faster, pushing your hands into the ground and springing over yourself. Now, your elbows will probably bend a little bit, like when I do the front handspring. My elbows bend a little bit. As long as you don't bend your elbows and press your head into the ground. That's not what you want to do. But again, I want to get like a little bit of a step, a placement, kicking this back leg up, pushing those hands into the ground, and propel myself over my body, kind of like a cartwheel. All right, so I'm here, I'm pressing, boom, kicking up and over, and landing. All right, that's what the front handspring looks like. Now, there's a couple of drills that we can do to accomplish this, and we can adjust the drill based on the height of the person. So somebody that's very short, we can either just knock over a wave master and place a body shield underneath it. All right, knock over a wave master. Placing the body shield underneath it, and then all the prep you have to do is you have to get your hand placement in front of the wave master, kick yourself up and over. The wave master is there to provide some support on your back to help you get yourself over without falling down uncontrollably. All right, so we're here. I'm stepping in front. I'm kicking up and over and using the wave master as my rebound, basically. Now, that works well for the shorter kids, but for anyone that's a little bit bigger, they're not really going to learn a good front handspring from that. They're going to basically be doing like a somersault almost. So the way that you get over that is by using something like this, all right? So what we've got here are the two blue mats stacked on top of each other with the wave master separated from the base on top of it. The idea is the same. You approach it, you kick your legs, right? You put your hands down in front of it, you put that planting foot, you're kicking the other leg, and you're going up and over. This one works a little bit better, especially for me, for my height, because really I get up and then the wave master pushes my back. It applies that counter force on my back, and it really just props me forward. Now, sometimes it'll fall off if you're not supporting it. I haven't practiced this with anyone supporting it. I don't know if it's better or worse. It might be something worth trying, but if you were to support it, I would try to, I'll show you a side view. I would try to hold this piece, hold like the base here, and try to get yourself out of the way, because the tendency is, if someone makes a mistake, they kind of do like a handstand up in front of it. They can't go all the way over, so they fall to one side or the other. And so if you're in the way, right, like if you're holding it really close, like this, they can fall right on you. Or they might accidentally kick you as they're trying to kick over the wave master. So that's why we want to try and get out of the way like this. All right, that way if there's a problem, you can kind of lean back a little bit if you need to. All right, but again, that's how I would hold it if you were going to support it. Now, the way that I'm practicing it, I can do it without any support. But there are potential issues, right? Like if I don't get my legs up all the way, I can end up rolling and then like falling over this way. It's kind of hard to demonstrate it, but like it can like roll out from underneath you and you can kind of land on your back a little bit. Now, fortunately, it's in a matted environment, so you can't do too much damage that way, but it's still not going to feel good if that happens. Now, if you have somebody that's like, if you have someone that's like not as tall as me, but like not as short as someone that might use a wave master just knocked over, you can remove one of these. Right. You remove one of the blue mats. You put this on top here. And it's higher up than a normal wave master, but only by a little bit more. All right? And then same thing, same deal. All right? Eventually you want to work up to the point where somebody can just do it all on their own. The way that you would work up to that in a safe way would be to grab this hip pillow. Get rid of the wave master. Put the hip pillow down. All right? And now, it helps a little bit if you're at the same level as a pit pillow. Now that's kind of hard to accomplish. All right, so basically in this case, like, it really wouldn't work very well because you can't just like stand here and do it from there. But if you're good, you can just use that platform as your kind of like a springboard to push you up and over. So putting your hands on that and kicking over. Otherwise, you just try it with this. Again, keep in mind, this adds a nice 6 inches or so. So if you're not quite all the way there, you might mess your landing up just because you're trying to front handspring up to something that's higher. Right? So, like I said, you can kind of play around with the different drills. You might even be able to put the blue mat like this, all right, and use it almost like you're walking a plank. The problem is here, I don't get like a running start. I really only get like a step, all right? But you can, this is more like gymnastics where you're on the beam, but you can do it that way. And that way you keep your entire body on the blue mat. Now somebody that's shorter than me would probably have an easier time doing it. But again, I can still do it, so it's possible. But those are some of the drills that you can use to develop your front handspring. And then eventually, like the final level of the front handspring is being able to do it without the hip pillow at all right? So, getting rid of it. Sometimes I like putting down this blue mat just as a little bit of extra padding. Right? This blue mat is a little bit softer than the standard, red and black mats. So, it might help a little bit, it might cushion you a little bit, just in case you make a mistake. But obviously the height difference isn't as much. And you can execute your front handspring that way. All right, but that's what the front handspring looks like. That's the breakdown. Those are some of the drills that we can practice with it. If this were a class, like an XVA class, you would want to make sure that the instructor can kind of do it effectively, or at least understands how to run the drills really well. You want to work on your progression up to a front handspring. You don't want to just go to it and let them fall on their back a bunch of times. So that's the setup that I would use. Start by practicing your footwork and the hand. Even, you could even do that without going up to the handstand. You could just, you know, do that. Or you could kick up but then come back down. Right? And then eventually, you know, when you really go for the kick, when you really commit to it, is when you have the Wave Master to lean on to help you, you know, kick yourself up and over. And as you're doing that drill, you're really focusing in on just like blasting through and really kicking that leg up and over. Let me see if I can just demo that real quick. All right, so somebody that's maybe close, like they've got like a pretty good one, a pretty explosive one, the way to transition from doing it with something to doing it without something, you really get them to, you know, get a lot of kick with it and get a lot of forward momentum. All right, so I'm going to see if I can demo. I don't know if that was different from the one before, but I was trying really hard to force myself up, and I almost want to continue moving forward afterwards. All right, so one more time. All right, where you're really propelling yourself forward, because it's that forward momentum that's going to really carry you up, over, and through the front handspring. Anyway, hopefully that breakdown's helpful, and good luck. So Mr. Gondesi's going to hold the target on this side, right? He's got one hand on the actual Wave Master and then one hand on the base of it that screws in. I'm standing here, I'm putting my hands here, and then I'm also taking my foot and just sticking it behind just so that this doesn't slide as much. Miss Daniela is doing the drill. Right? The front handspring drill. All right, you can stop.